I'm Tina Campa, and I'm one of the 10th through 12th grade counselors, and I'm here on behalf of Ms. Bauman and myself for our first virtual PSEO information session. The purpose of this information session is to answer general questions that students and families may have about the post-secondary enrollment option, and to give you some specific details about places that you can go to start your application process. The PSEO application process is a very strongly family and student-driven process. So our role as school counselors is really just to kind of point you in the right direction to get the information that you'll need. I'm going to be covering 3 main topics, and then Ms. Bauman is going to kind of dive into the specifics of the application process. So I will be talking about, in general, what the PSEO option looks like, what a successful PSEO student looks like, and some general things to consider before making a final decision. In terms of what is PSEO, PSEO is a Minnesota of State run program where students are able to earn college credit while in high school through successful enrollment in and completion of college level courses. So basically, students who are in the PSEO program are dually enrolled, meaning that they are enrolled in high school, working towards their high school graduation requirements, and at the same time are enrolled as a college student, earning college credits and starting their official college transcript. Students are able to take PSEO courses either in a part-time schedule or format or a full-time schedule or format. And I would say that most students probably start out with a part-time schedule just to kind of get a feel for what that experience is like, make sure that they can handle it. And then every semester they're able to adjust how many PSEO courses they're taking. PSEO courses are also offered online or in a traditional format. Obviously this year's a little bit different, and most of the PSEO courses are being taken in an online format. But I would say in a normal year of all of the PSEO courses that are taken by students, it's probably 50-50 in terms of which classes are online and which classes are traditional. When I say traditional, I'm talking about the types of courses that you drive to campus to be a part of with other college students. And then the last point on the screen just indicates that there really there's no cost to the PSEO program for most students when it comes to tuition fees or textbook fees. Really the only cost that's associated with PSEO is going to be transportation related costs. So if a student is taking a traditional PSEO course, it would be getting to and from campus and paying for any parking fees while on campus. In terms of what a successful PSEO student might look like, it's kind of hard to say exactly what characteristics a successful PSEO student would have. So instead what we did is we just came up with a number of questions that we would encourage students and families to ask themselves. And if you are able to answer yes to the majority of these questions, then PSEO might be a good option for you. If you are not able to answer affirmative to most of the questions on this screen, then PSEO, although a great option, may just not be the right fit for you or your student right now. So we kind of categorize the questions into 3 headings: maturity, independence, and being proactive. I might add things like being responsible, being a self-starter, being a strong communicator, having good time management skills, but all of those things kind of fit under the other 3 categories that are listed on this screen here. Again, PSEO is a wonderful option for the right type of student at the right time. It's not always the best option for every student in every situation. So we do think it's important, again, that you kind of take a little bit of time to self-assess, find out where you're at, find out what you're ready for, and make sure that this is a good fit for you before you dive in. In terms of items to consider, all of these items will undoubtedly come up at some point in your PSEO experience. And we feel like it's probably best for you to be aware of these items and consider these items on the front end of that process. So the biggest one, in my opinion, is that when students are taking PSEO courses, they're really living in 2 different worlds. They're living in the college world and schedule and in the high school world and schedule. Even if a student is a part-time PSEO student or a full-time PSEO student, they're really still having to adhere to a lot of high school things. So if I'm a student who's taking full-time PSEO schedule, I still need to be checking my high school email regularly and responding to anything that comes my way through that email so that I don't miss graduation deadlines or scholarship application deadlines. I also need to make sure that the courses that I'm taking or planning to take are going to satisfy my high school graduation requirements and keep me on track for graduation. So students are really living in two different worlds when they're taking PSEO courses. And for some students, that's not a problem. For others, it's kind of a rude awakening at the beginning, and it takes a bit of time to get used to. Even something as simple as the class schedule. A lot of college second semesters are going to start immediately after winter break, so most colleges are starting that right now, where the high school schedule doesn't start second semester until closer to the end of January. So there's going to be a period of time where students are wrapping up their high school courses while they're starting their new PSEO courses. Just another example of how students have to be able to be adaptable and flexible to living in both worlds at the same time. If a student is taking a part-time PSEO schedule and would like to stay enrolled in certain courses at the high school, they're going to have to work within the constraints of the master schedule at the high school level. So if a student is wanting to take choir and we only offer choir 1 hour of the day, they may have to go to plan B or C when it comes to their PSEO classes in terms of when they can take those courses or in what format they can take those courses in order to be able to stay enrolled in the high school class. So just another example of how the communication and seeking out information is important so that they can make sure that they come up with a schedule that's going to work and meet their goals. As I stated before, transportation is not something that's included in the PSEO program. And so I always recommend to students, if you're planning on taking any traditional PSEO courses, make sure you take a drive down to the campus. Get a feel for what the commute is like. Imagine yourself doing it in February or during rush hour traffic. Take a look at what the parking situation is like. Get an idea of what a parking permit might cost. Check out the busing schedule to see if you're able to take any public transportation to and from your classes. And then the last item on here to consider has to do with the school-issued Chromebook. If a student is taking even just one Mound Westonka High School course, they will be issued a school Chromebook. However, that school Chromebook and its limitations for safety purposes may not always be compatible with the PSEO platform or the programs that they need to run. So we do encourage students and families to make sure that they do have access to a device at home that is compatible so that there's never an issue with them being able to complete work that they need to at the post-secondary level. If they can do so on their school-issued Chromebook, great, but if not, it's always good to have a backup option. Other items to consider related specifically to grading. So one of the most common questions is, how do the credits and grades that I earn through the college courses get transferred back onto my high school transcript? So most college courses are semester-long courses that are worth 3 or more credits. And you'll notice that if a student completes a semester college course worth 3 or more credits, it's going to be equal to 1 full high school credit. So in 11th and 12th grade, students are required to take a full year of English and a full year of social studies of some sort. If I am a PSEO student and I take a freshman comp PSEO class during first semester that's worth 4 credits, that's going to transfer back as 1 full year high school credit. That's going to satisfy my entire English requirement for 11th grade just by completing that single semester college course, again, as long as it's worth the 3 or more credits. If a college course is worth 1 to 2 credits, then it's only going to be worth 1 semester or 0.5 credits at the high school. So when students are trying to figure out how many courses they should take, either at the high school or PSEO or a combination of both, I always recommend that you first convert the credits back to high school credits and then aim for something right around that 7 credits per year or 3 to 4 credits per semester. Loosely speaking, that's going to be equivalent to a full high school course load. And again, some students are ready for more than that, others aren't quite ready for anything more than that, but I think that's always a good place to start, and then you can always adjust your course load each semester accordingly based on your experience the previous semester. One thing that I do need to point out is that even though a student might only be 16 or 17 years old when they're taking these PSEO courses, the grades and credits that they earn by completing these PSEO courses become a permanent part of their college transcript. And so it's important that students are ready to be as successful as they want to be, given that this information is going to be a part of that college transcript. Likewise, any grades that we receive that a student earns while a part of the PSEO program is added directly to their high school transcript as is. We don't have any jurisdiction to not add classes or grades if they're not satisfied with their grades and or adjust any of those PSEO grades. They are added exactly as is to their high school transcript, and obviously keeps a student working towards their high school graduation requirements. The last item up here has to do with the transferability of courses that students take through the PSEO program. Generally speaking, courses that PSEO students are allowed to take have pretty good transferability when it comes to undergraduate programs. However, I think there's two resources that are valuable to students as they're making their choices each semester. One is going to be their PSEO advisor. Every college has a PSEO advisor. We strongly encourage students to know who that person is and how to get in contact with them, and maybe even set up a regular meeting with them prior to each semester and registering for new courses. And then the second is going to be the transferology.com website. This is a website or a resource that I think is actually utilized a lot at the college level. And basically, you can look up, if I take a World Civ course at Normandale, will that transfer to Minnesota State University Mankato? So there are resources that are available to help students make wise choices if transferability is important to students. If it's more just about the PSEO experience, then maybe these resources aren't going to be used quite as much. Now we're going to talk a little bit more specifically in the next session about the actual application process.